Welcome back to Creating Stuff. This is a great day, is because not only am I working on Inferno again, is I'm going to put a link to the last video where we got the rear axle set up to go underneath this truck. Now I finally get to cut the original suspension out and get it cleaned up and get it ready to build the new 3-link suspension for the rear end of this truck with the new axle. So this is a great day. This has been a long time coming. So tell you what, and actually I have a handy tool still available to me. I haven't delivered or given back yet. So I got a new a tool on loan right now, which is going to help getting this truck inside the shop. But before I do that, Inferno does have a flat tire, and I need to move something out of the garage, make some space in the garage. So tell you what, let's get to work. Well, if you don't recognize this trailer, I'm going to put a link somewhere on the screen so you can go see the video or the series of videos where I did a bunch of work to this trailer. And probably the neatest thing I like about it is I converted this into a hydraulic tilting trailer. So this is almost so basically this is going to be a pretty neat tool to get Inferno into the shop. So anyways, go check out the video if you hadn't seen it, but otherwise let's get Inferno into the shop. Well, I ended up doing a lot of work on Inferno that was off camera, is because actually I took it up to a pressure washer, actually pressure washed the mud out of the frame rails and cross members and things like that. And then my buddy Gary came over and he ground all the brackets off the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick peek. And if you hadn't noticed, Inferno is in the big bay right now just because I've got something on my lift rack. If you want to see what's on that lift rack, you're going to have to watch one of my other videos. So, but let me show you what I got going on with Inferno. Alright, as I said, my buddy Gary got all the brackets ground off nicely. I'm very happy with all that. Luckily, the rear part of the suspension was nowhere near as involving as the front. And the one thing I will point out, which I should have some light under here, but you're just going to have to deal with it. This section of frame was full of mud. This is a bracket on the inside, but I ended up cutting this hole out because I did have a little bit of rust poking through. But when I pressure washed it, I wanted a hole so I get the mud out. So I cut that hole and I cut this hole over here. So I took, and that cross member up there was completely full of mud. So pressure wash it, got it all out. I cut these holes so I could get that stuff out. Actually worked very well. Very happy with that. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to cut reinforcement plates, and I'm going to reinforce the inside frame rails on both sides, and clean some of this up, and I will be ready to set up my rear suspension. But unfortunately, I'll probably do a little bit of work over here. I'll probably go ahead and cut these plates. If future Jim remembers when he's editing this video, I'll put in a link. I will put a link to a video when I reinforce the front frame rails, where you can actually take a picture, use CAD, and cut them out. Very, very efficient, very good way to do it. I'm just going to do the same process here. I'm not going to bore you with all that, but I will put a link so you can go check that video out if you'd like to see how I did it. So, well, tell you what, let's get to it. Well, I have finally gotten Inferno back on the rack. Like I said, I had another project, which once again, you'll have to look at another one of my videos to see what that was. It was occupying my rack for a couple of weeks, actually closer to a month. But now Inferno's back on the rack, and I've got the rear axle set up on the stand, so getting ready to put some rear suspension together. And the one thing I did accomplish while it was sitting on the trailer is I put these reinforcement plates on. Is basically because I had the hole that I got the mud out behind it, and I've got an identical one on the frame rail behind me. So I got these welded on, except for the seam on the underside. I still need to weld that, and I figure I'll wait till I get on the rack where I can get up above my head. Make it a little easier so I'm not crawling around. So tell you what, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to weld those seams up, and I'm going to go ahead and mock my suspension up, and I'll bring you back when I have something for you to look at. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Well, that's looking pretty decent. This is not record-setting articulation. Once again, I'm using 12-inch shocks because that's what I got cheap. I can probably get more out of the suspension, but right now everything fits, everything clears, and also depending on where I put my 12-inch shocks on the axle is also going to determine on how much it flex, because you might have 12 inches of travel right here, but you're going to have double it all the way out here at the wheel end and even farther out on the tire. So once again, this is looking pretty good. I'll put it this way, I'm not a professional. This is only the second 3-link suspension I put together. The first one was the front axle, so I've seen much jankier stuff put together before. But I don't think this is too bad for the first attempt. So this is looking pretty good. I think I'm going to do a little bit more measuring, a little bit more tweaking. And this might be pretty close where I can go ahead and lock it down. So let's get back to work. All right, I think I've got everything set up where I'm willing to give it a try. I did a whole lot more flexing and test fitting and measuring off camera, but I think I've got it to a point where I'm ready to give it a go. And I'll take you one more quick peek. So got the drag link. Got that about as long as possible. Trying to keep it as flat as possible at ride height. The only thing, and then I got my lower and my upper link. The only thing I would consider changing is I'd like to move these forward and make these a little bit longer. But as I'm sure I've already said that. But since this is the rear and these are trailing arms, hopefully it shouldn't be as big an issue. And anyways, but probably the biggest reason why I'm not is because this space up here this is where the gas tank was originally, but I gotta move the gas tank over here, and that's why the upper link is on the other side, because the exhaust system normally came down this side, which, I mean, I have enough room. I probably could send it down this side and keep the fuel tank on the other, but for some odd reason I'd rather just keep factory parts I don't have to modify. And that part of the exhaust, the crossover pipe and everything is all factory. I don't know, I want to keep it that way. So, but I have something I have planned to put in this hole, because if I stretch and make my links longer, this upper link bracket has to move up here, and that would actually interfere with something that I have that should fit in this general location pretty good, and it might actually work pretty well. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to tune into another video to see what I put there. I'm thinking this might be a little bit ingenious. I've never seen it done, and I'll be honest, this idea has been rattling around in my head since I was in high school, is how long it's been in my head. And this is the truck where I finally get to do it, so I can finally see if it was a good idea and no one realized it, or it's just a horrible idea and that's the reason why nobody does it. But I'm willing to figure that out myself. I'm willing to put myself on the line. But you got to tune in for another video to figure out what I'm planning on doing. So now, I hate to break it to you, but get ready for a time lapse with I got to tear all this back down. I got to weld everything in. So time lapse with a lot of disassembly, welding, painting. So don't say you weren't warned. So here it goes. Well, as you can see, I got the paint on. The paint is dry. So now I am going to put all the links back together and put everything under the truck and see what it looks like. So get ready for another time lapse. Well, I got all the suspension back together. Everything lined up exactly how it went back together, ended up in the same spot where it came apart from. So I'll take that as a big win. So now, unfortunately for now, to close this video out, I have to make some blocks to hold the truck up, since I don't have the shock mounts and springs and all that other good stuff. So similar to what I already did on the front, I'm going to do something similar in the back. I'm going to cut some square tubing, tack weld it in place, just to hold the truck up so I can put Inferno on all four wheels again. So let's get to it. Well, I got the axle all braced up, so tell you what, I'm going to lift this up and see if the axle stays up. I must have done something right. All right, got all four tires. Let me set Inferno on the ground for the first time on both of its new axles. Well, there you have it. Inferno is sitting on both of his axles right now. Unfortunately, I like to say he's sitting on his own legs, but not quite there yet, because I still got to put the coilover shocks on, and then I can truly say Inferno's sitting on his own legs. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And if you want to see further progress on this truck, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already. So once again, and until the next one, be creative.